What's up, sisters and brothers? How you feeling today? I want to give you a shout out for being out here, along with people in 20 other cities across this country. For 3.5 years, that demented bully in the White House has lied, jeered, broken the law, torn families apart, built concentration camps and packed them full of human beings, pardoned and lionized craven war criminals, brandished nuclear weapons, declared himself above the law, demeaned women, denied science, fueled the mass deaths of COVID, threatened the media, and cheered for white supremacists and vigilante murderers. All this will get far worse if this fascist regime is allowed a second term. Just listen to the words of Miles Taylor, the former head of the Department of Homeland Security who served under Trump. He said, "There are people serving very close to the president that have told me verbatim, we should expect, quote, shock and awe if the president wins a second term. You will see a flurry of executive orders." Taylor was speaking about Trump's foreign policy, but the same could be said across the board. Listen to what Trump said he wanted to do to immigrants at the border, what Miles Taylor heard him say, but what Trump was prevented from doing by people who he has now kicked out of his administration and publicly attacked. I quote, "Trump would be dreaming up sickening medieval plots to pierce the flesh of immigrants, to rip all families apart, to maim and gas them. This was a man who had no humanity whatsoever." This is not my words. This is the former Republican Department of Homeland Security. And he went on. Donald Trump, says we got to do this, and this, all of which is probably illegal, impossible, and unethical. And then Trump looks over at me and goes, "Are you fucking taking notes?" These are the rantings of a genocidal racist who will be unleashed if by hook or by crook he gets a second term. More times than we can count, Donald Trump has shocked the conscience of the world. More times than we can count, the experts and pundits have said, he can't do that. And then Trump goes ahead and does it anyhow. Legal experts have looked at the nearly 500 judges that Donald Trump has packed onto the federal court and warned that we are hurtling towards theocracy. Mike Pence's Bible taken literally. They want to force all women to have children against their will. Did you know that in Mike Pence's Indiana, they threw a woman in prison for 30 years for daring to induce her own abortion? Or maybe just having a miscarriage? Did you know that the lunatic Nazi who Donald Trump put in charge of immigrant teenage girls in detention centers keeps a calendar of their menstruation cycles on his desk? And he flies to their cells and counsels them if they say they want to have an abortion, even if they were raped? Do you think they won't do this to all women everywhere? And do you think it's acceptable that they're doing it now to teenage immigrant detainees? And listen well, there is nothing funny about Donald Trump's so-called joke when he said Mike Pence wants to hang all the gay people. That is where things are headed. And don't tell yourself it cannot happen here. Look at who these Nazi lunatics they put up at their RNC convention. People who want to punish women for abortion, who want to take away birth control. They even put a woman center stage who has said that women should give up their vote to their husbands. They're telling you and they're telling the world where this is headed. And all this as Donald Trump strips environmental protections accelerates the fires of climate change that are already fueling floods in Bangladesh, fueling droughts in Africa, driving millions from their homes, many to go drown in oceans and seas. We are gathered here today in 106-degree weather, record heat, as wildfires rage across the state, and Donald Trump has repeatedly threatened to withhold aid because most Californians did not support him. This is a fascist, demented lunatic who is putting all of human civilization in the crosshairs. Fascism is not just the worst of Republican policies. Fascism is a qualitative change in the form of rule. It's the obliteration of what have been the norms, the evisceration of the democratic rights we've been told we have, to stand up and oppose them in the streets through protest or even from within the halls of power. Fascism is a form of rule that relies on open terror and violence from the state and from the mob against everyone that they deem an enemy, undesirable, or danger to society. And let's be very clear, sisters and brothers. This is not standing still. We are gathered at a moment when Donald Trump has unleashed and defended the vigilante killer who stole the lives of 2 heroic protesters in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Anthony Huber and Jojo Rosenbaum, who were standing up for Black lives. We are gathered at a time when MAGA fascists rode through Portland on the back of pickup trucks, spraying protesters with paint guns and other weapons like the American Taliban they are. We are gathered as Bill Barr, the highest law enforcement agent in the country, is restructuring the state to brand protesters terrorists and lock them away for life. We are gathered just days after Donald Trump went in and did a photo op and a meeting with a sheriff in Wisconsin who publicly advocated taking a whole generation of Black youth, locking them in warehouses, depriving them of the right to have children, and leaving them there until the whole generation had died off. And then he said we could turn those warehouses into shopping malls. Donald Trump posed with him after this tape came out. This is cold, straight up genocide they are talking about. This is genocide, and as Bob Avakian, the revolutionary leader, has said and published in a new series that everybody should go read at revcom.us, Donald Trump is a genocidal racist. These fascists are fighting to lock all this and more into place through a second term, whether it takes stealing, sabotaging, or outright canceling the elections. Every day new projections come out from well-informed, ruling class figures about the danger of Trump declaring himself the winner, even if it means spewing an avalanche of lies, breaking the law, and unleashing violence and bloodshed in the streets. Many are now saying, well, if he does that, then we should take to the streets and do like they've done in Hong Kong and Belarus. Well, they have a point, but we cannot wait for him to do that. We cannot passively wait for things to get worse. Think about it. That would be like if the LA Lakers sat their best players down on the bench for the first 3 quarters and let the other team rack up a great lead and then said, well, if we really fall behind, we'll put LeBron James on the court. Well, these fascists have racked up a lead. They are in the streets. We can't wait to get out on the court ourselves. We have to go out in the streets now and every day going forward and steal the initiative back from them. This is why RefuseFascism.org is launching, starting today, starting with all of us here, starting with everybody in the 24 other cities that are gathered today. We are launching 60 days of struggle. All September, We must spread this message, Trump, Pence out now, and the plan to drive this regime out through mass, sustained, nonviolent protest. We, all of us here, whether you've been at this for a while or you're just meeting us today, have to work together, beginning right after this protest, on how to build up our numbers, how to spread this movement to every corner of society, how to strengthen our cohesion and our ability to resist. By October, we need people in the streets every day raising the demand, Trump, Pence, out now. In numbers that grow, again, non-violently, but determinedly, refusing to let these fascists provoke us or back us off with all they'll throw at us, coming back with more and more people, different walks of life, standing up together, all raising the demand, Trump, Pence, out now. We need to unite everybody who can be united. People who don't all agree, but don't want a fascist America. From never-Trumper Republicans to mainstream Democrats to burners and anarchists to revolutionary communists and followers of Bob Avakian like myself. We need healthcare workers. We need celebrities. We need musicians and artists. We need the youth. We need everybody who is hit the hardest by these fascist terror. And we need to stand up together and have each other's backs. In fighting for this, it is not just us, those of us in the streets today, up against them, the fascists with all their terror and violence. It is all of us together acting and carrying the aspirations, the hopes, and the interests of billions of people on this planet. It is us acting together as a collective force, going out to rally the millions in this country who do not want to be accomplices to genocide and fascism, but need to be woken up and moved fast. It is us pushing on the cracks and the deep divisions that exist all throughout every institution in this society, in the military, in the courts, in the halls of power, in the structures of finance and international policy, pushing on these cracks through our actions to move those sections of people in the power structures themselves, who are not themselves fascists, to remove this regime, to change their calculus because of what we do from below in the streets. Sisters and brothers, this is possible. It is possible to remove a hated regime. People have done it all over the world. In the last few months, we have seen people in the streets make what seemed impossible yesterday reality the next day. We can do this. We can do this. Let me close with this, sisters and brothers. There is beauty. There is beauty. There is power. And there is meaning in standing up together to stop this fascist America. Not only there's beauty and power in stopping this catastrophe for humanity, but there is beauty and power in meaning and becoming the kind of people who stand up for each other, who look out for each other, who put humanity first, not ourselves or America first. There is beauty in our diversity. There is beauty in our courage. There is beauty in our helping each other overcome their fear. If we here today promise and pledge together that we will go forward from here, we will change our lives to change what others are doing. We will overcome our own fear and uncertainty to help others overcome theirs. If we make this our mission together for the next 60 days, we can awaken and arouse a force that can bring a great gift to humanity. We can drive out a fascist America. So I ask you, sisters and brothers, to put your fist in the air with me, to make this pledge together, right here, right now, today, that we will go forward and we will wage this fight. We will not take no for an answer from our neighbors, our friends, our loved ones, our communities, and people across this country. We will wake them up. Say it with me. In the name of humanity. In the name of humanity. In the name of humanity. We refuse to accept a fascist America. It's on us. Trump, Pence, out now.